How long does BPC-157 take to work? Well, people ask this question because we all want a timeline. Is it going to be 3 days or 2 weeks or a month? And people ask me all the time, Regan, when am I going to notice a difference? Well, the honest answer is it depends on what you're targeting, what you're treating. It depends on the environment that it's placed in. But I can tell you that a lot of things have happened with BPC. We understand more and more about this. I mean, this peptide was discovered way back in the early 90s, maybe the late 80s in Croatia. And they found that this peptide has these very powerful properties, somewhat, pleiotropic properties, where BPC is like the master key that unlocks all the receptors in your body. It activates your growth hormone receptors. It turns on VEGF. It also allows your body to recover faster and heal quicker. That's one of the reasons why if you stack this with thymosin beta-4, it's called the Wolverine peptide. And I've got some great videos on that as well. But today we're going to be talking about what the data actually shows, how quickly your body will respond to this, what you can expect from it. And I'll tell you, the real story is getting the right biomarkers so you can see for a fact if BPC-157 is working or not. The human brain, we're all geared towards this placebo effect. We have this cognitive bias that we want things to work. Some of you don't want things to work. You have a nocebo, but the labs are what helps delineate the skeptic from the person who really wants to be a scientist and find out if these molecules work. So I'm Regan Archibald, founder of Ageless Future, one of the world's leaders in longevity medicine. And what I'm about to show you is what most clinics don't understand yet. We've been using these peptides for 12 years now, and we found that BPC-157 is not all created equal, and not all of you should be on this. The very first thing you want to do is get your blood labs ran. Run a comprehensive blood test, look at your hormones, your liver function, kidney function. Anytime you're experimenting or getting on a new protocol, you want to have a good baseline. In our model, we have licensed providers. We only use 503A compounding pharmacies, and we match your labs with what your subjective data shows us. What are your complaints? You want to have more energy. You want to recover better. You want to have less pain. These are all things that we take into consideration, and then we find out if this is right for you. So go to agelessfuture.com. My team will take great care of you. So let's talk about how long the tissue takes to heal with BPC-157. There's a study in the Frontiers of Pharmacology, and this was out of Zagreb. This was in Croatia, and they wanted to look at animal wound healing data. It's interesting because in the individual experiments, they typically use 6 to 10 rats per group. Now, this is animal data once again, and we don't have human data, but you can look online, and there's probably hundreds of thousands of people who have been very detailed in what their experience has been like with BPC. I know clinically we would have stopped using it a decade ago if it didn't work, but it just seems to work really darn well. And it's a natural expression of a peptide that's made by your stomach. And your stomach is a very harsh environment. And so BPC-157, it's the body protective complex because it protects the stomach lining from the harsh acidic environment. And so if you think about for gastrointestinal healing, acute gastric ulcers and colitis models, they found improvements. Like in this improvements, they're talking about meaningful cellular change that's visible under a microscope. And they found that it happened 48 to 72 hours of the first dose. Now, we've had subjective feedback in clients who've had acid reflux or they've had ulcers, and they've noticed a change in the first week of using BPC-157. Now, this macroscopic healing, meaning these visible ulcerative colitis, they found that the closures in the animal models reduced. It required about 7 to 14 days to have a complete closure of the ulcers where they couldn't see it. In gut fistula models, they found these abnormal tunnels between the organs in the gut, and the researchers noticed there's considerable improvements starting already during the early post-operative period of 3 to 5 days, with a complete closure in 28 days. Now, this is pretty impressive. Once again, this is animal data, and I think in the future we'll just have more and more data with BPC. That's one reason we are working with a group of PhDs at the University of San Diego in California, looking at what are all the aspects that BPC can actually help our bodies heal from. So for musculoskeletal healing, tendons, ligaments, and bones, the timeline's a little bit slower. They found molecular signaling changes in the fibroblasts begin within 24 hours. And if you watch my last video on how long does BPC-157 stay in your body, you'll see in the animal models, at least, it's about 102 hours. But they're seeing these changes in the signaling in these fibroblasts, and the fibroblasts are the cell structures within the tendons and ligaments. And they found this in animal models. The changes started to appear 7 to 14 days. And then full biomechanical strength recovery in ligament and tendon models is documented anywhere from 28 to 90 days. So depending on how damaged your tendons are, how clean your environment is, that's kind of what you can expect. Now, there's a study that's titled, "What is Driving the Tendon Effect Change?" And this was published in Molecules 2014. They examined tendon fibroblasts. These are the cells responsible for producing and organizing tendon structure derived from rat Achilles tendon and captured in the lab. And what this in vitro study shows, cells in a dish, not an animal, BPC-157 at 0.5 micrograms per milliliter produced up to a 7-fold increase in growth hormone receptors. Now, this is GHR and mRNA and proteins by day 3 of continuous exposure. So growth hormone receptor is the receptor that detects if there's growth hormone and activates downstream collagen synthesis. Now, collagen synthesis is really important because if you're someone like me who was exposed to a lot of glyphosate when I was a kid, a lot of Roundup, I heard it was safe, didn't know it was a chemical. But what glyphosate does is it disrupts glycine, and that's one of the major amino acids that holds our collagen together. And so with growth hormone, you get collagen synthesis, which strengthens the ligaments. You get fibroblast proliferation, you get a matrix remodeling, and then this is all the core biological requirements for tendon repair. This upregulation was both dose-dependent and time-dependent, depending within about 24 hours of exposure. So the growth hormone axis, IGF-1 is an insulin-like growth factor. This is your primary anabolic signaling protein downstream of growth hormone. It's one of the best things that you want to test and measure anytime you're using any kind of peptide, like for recovery or for muscle building, because it's also a really great molecule to see how well your connective tissue is healing. But BPC-157, when looking at that particular marker, it appears to amplify that axis at the cellular level, where growth hormone is now putting IGF-1 to work. So there's no human clinical data on tendon healing. Not yet. There's a lot of anecdotal data. There's a lot of N of 1. I happen to be N of 1 on multiple peptides, but you'll see that there are very interesting data that people are talking about where they have massive recoveries. The healing time is compressed when it comes to using BPC-157. So let's talk about BPC-157, what it is and what it's not. It's not FDA approved. So there's no claims that we can make on this. I can't promise you we can treat your ulcers or treat your arthritis or muscular system issues. So this means it needs to be done under proper medical supervision. And the FDA kind of looks at this as generally recognized as safe. It was a category 1 for decades. Millions of these prescriptions of BPC have been written, but a lot of you are getting your BPC-157 from a research use only source. Now, if you're getting it from a not for human consumption lab, there's a reason. It's not a finished product. This is peptides. You're not going to be getting the same structure. You don't have a pharmacist that's overseeing and compounding it in a sterile environment. You may see that the dosing is completely different. You also may see endotoxins, and you don't see side effects the first 2 or 3 times you're using it. It's usually after 6 to 12 months. And then we see people calling the office and saying, hey, I'm having an issue with my peptides. It comes from a clean source. And then it's like, well, is it research use only? And then finally they look at the small print and realize, oh, I thought it was from a good source. But if you can't get this from a prescribing physician, prescribing provider, I would watch out for it. I would run away and find somebody who can use a 503A compounding pharmacy and get the right BPC-157. Your health is so valuable, and that small fraction of cost savings, in my opinion, is not worth it, because our health is something that we want to protect throughout your entire life. You don't want to do something that's going to risk your future results. There's clinical pictures that we're going to be putting together, and for those of you who want to stay on top of what's going on in the world of peptides, do me a favor and just subscribe to the show. Tell me what you'd like to learn about. Also, tell me about your experience with BPC-157. Love to hear about it. And for those of you who want to go deeper into your own health and build an operating system that will outlast and outserve you so that you can live as long as you possibly can and make your next decade your best decade, all you need to do is go to agelessfuture.com, schedule your free health span assessment with our team. We'll get your blood labs ran. You'll meet with one of my providers, and we'll find out what's best for you. I'm Regan Archibald. I'll see you on the next show.